Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I did a story not so long ago about service members whose cars had been repossessed and how the people who did the repossessions did not act appropriately because there are laws protecting service members, particularly those ones who are serving overseas. And I mentioned, for instance, that in Michigan, when you have a summons that you serve with a complaint, the attorney or the person filling out the summons has got to confirm whether they served somebody and also whether or not the person is in the military. And the question is actually one of three questions that's asked. That's how important it is. Is this person in the military? And the reason they ask that is because if they are, there are laws that protect them and certain things you must do, hoops you've got to jump through if you're going to sue somebody or take legal action against somebody who's in the military. And it's simply to be fair. Because someone who's serving in the military might get sent over here or might get sent over there. They might be out of town for a little while. And these are things that come with being in the military. So the laws protect service members. So Robert and Gordon both sent me this story. Storage company must pay Airman $60,000 after selling his property while he was deployed. Now, the story's from military.com, and I wish these stories got more headlines outside of the military circles. Steve Bainan wrote it. A Massachusetts storage company has been accused of selling an airman's belongings while he was deployed overseas, and they now must pay thousands of dollars in fines and compensation, and this is the Justice Department announcing this. Back in February 2019, the service member was based at Hanscom Air Force Base, Massachusetts, but he was deployed to Qatar. In July of that year, a company doing business as Father and Son Moving and Storage auctioned off all of his stored belongings according to a federal lawsuit. Now, he did not find out about the sale for another month because he was deployed. But generally speaking, if your stuff's being auctioned off, there should have been some notices sent out in advance of that. The items included military gear, mementos that belonged to a cousin who'd been killed in action while also serving in the military. His grandfather's military medals were among the things sold off. A dresser handmade by his great-grandfather and family photographs. So some of this stuff has immense sentimental value to him and his family, and some of this stuff would be meaningless to other people. And you know, if you watch those Storage Wars shows, the reality shows on television, you'll see them digging through storage units, and some of the stuff they find, you wonder why anybody put it in storage. Well, it means nothing to you, but it may have meant something to the person who put it in there. And of course, his grandfather's military medals are utterly irreplaceable, as is the handmade dresser. The Justice Department said the auction was a violation of the Service Members Civil Relief Act. That's the law I was talking about earlier, and it's actually an umbrella term for legal protections for both active duty and reserve troops, according to the Service Member Civil Relief Act, or the SCRA. Anyone storing a service member's property must obtain a court order before selling or disposing of it. Now, generally speaking, in some states, and this will vary wildly from state to state with state law, if you put something in a storage unit, you're renting a unit at a storage facility, you lock it storage, and you put it in storage, you're paying a monthly fee. You sign a contract that says, I agree to pay a monthly fee to you for the use of this storage locker. Then it says, in case of default, here's what can happen. And one of the remedies that they often have is that we can take your stuff and auction it off to pay any back balance if you've stopped paying us. But even so, we'll send you a notice to let you know what's going to happen. And among other things, in most states, they've got to let you attend the auction if you want to. And if you want to, you can even bid on your own stuff. But the point is that you do get notified. And so you wonder about a guy who's stationed in the Middle East, in the military, and his stuff gets auctioned off, and you wonder, what kind of notices did he get? But besides that, they're required to actually go that extra step and get a court order. And of course, this is designed to protect service members who are overseas, to let them know something's happening back in America. They need to be, taken care of, if in fact they need to take care of it. So the Justice Department said this is a violation of the act because they must obtain a court order before selling or disposing of it. And the company did not do so, violating federal law. The Justice Department has aggressively enforced the SCRA, going after several companies who who sold off service members' property in recent years. 2020, they sued a Florida towing company, alleging they auctioned off a Marine's car while she was deployed. The company settled with order to pay the Marine $17,500 and a $2,500 fine on top of it. Later that year, federal prosecutors went after another Florida towing company, alleging they'd auctioned off dozens of service members' vehicles without following the proper protocol. Company was ordered to pay out compensation totaling up to $99,500 and a $20,000 fine. The city of San Antonio, Texas also agreed to pay $47,000 to two service members after they complained that the city unlawfully auctioned off their vehicles. So it's happening all over the place. Prosecutors say that the company in Massachusetts knew that this airman was in the military and deployed abroad, adding that he was even in uniform at the time that the company movers came to pack up his stuff. So he actually hires a company to pack up his stuff and move it into storage so he can get deployed. He's in uniform. They know he's a member of the military. And for whatever reason, they decide to auction off his stuff, and they didn't get the court order as required by the Service Members Civil Relief Act. The company settled the lawsuit. They'll pay the man $60,000 in compensation, as well as a $5,000 federal fine. It was also ordered to create policies to prevent further SCRA violations. Last time I did a story on this, people said, Steve, how does a towing company know that a car they towed belongs to a service member? How do they know that? And other people responded and said, well, if you're in an area near a military base, you might guess that the likelihood is always there, a possibility, right? Well, in this case, it's simple. Because when you hire a moving company to come get your stuff and move it and put it in storage, you sign a contract. And if you're the moving company, you draft a contract. And all you have to do is put in there a simple one sentence with a box to check. I am in the military, yes or no. Make it two boxes. And have the person check a box, yes or no. And if they check the box, no, I'm not in the military, then you don't have to worry about this. And if they do check the box, yes, I'm in the military, you might want to add something that says, by the way, if you are in the military, please notify us if you deploy, if you're out of the country. Just let us know that. And you might say, but Steve, that's no, it's not that hard. One question. And by the way, if you go into court and they say you realize you sold off this guy's stuff and he's in the military, you pull out that piece of paper and you go, well, it's weird. We had this box here from the check and says, are you in the military? Yes or no? The no box is checked. So it's a really simple thing. So it says here that they've had to introduce some policies to prevent this. That ain't that big of a policy. It's a simple question. Like I said, put it on the contract, have it be one sentence that you ask with two boxes, check it, initial it, whatever. Are you in the military? U.S. Attorney General Assistant Kristen Clark said in a statement, this settlement should send a clear message to all storage facility operators that federal law prohibits them from auctioning off a service member's possessions without a court order. And so, if you are watching my video and you run a storage facility, and there's a lot of them out there, by the way. I actually had my stuff in a storage facility for a little while. I've actually rented a couple different storage facilities now that I think about it. I rented one for somebody else on occasion, but that's a complicated and convoluted story for another day. But I remember signing a contract. And I remember seeing the language in there. It says, if you default in this contract, we can take your stuff and sell it. We will send you a notice. We're going to do that. We're going to give you the opportunity to cure. And if you do not cure, your stuff will get sold at auction to pay the back rent. All they got to do is add one question. Are you in the military? And then you probably want to put below that, by the way, if you check the box no, and you join the military after signing this contract, please let us know. Beyond that, it's not that complicated. So here's the storage company. They sold off the guy's stuff, which included his grandfather's military medals and his great-grandfather's homemade furniture. And a $60,000 check is okay, but it does not get your stuff back. And, I've talked before about the idea that you can be compensated for something. And a lot of people come into my office and talk to me about how they've been wronged and they want to be made whole. And I try to explain to them that quite often all a court can do is move money from place to place. And there are some occasions where a court can grant equitable relief and get you something other than money, but generally speaking, it's money. So if your leg was broken and someone else is liable for that, and you're on crutches for 6 weeks and now you've got a pain in your leg, you can sue that person, and if you win, your broken leg doesn't go away, and now you have a healthy leg and you were never on crutches. No, all a court can do is say, oh, we can give you money. How much money do we think that's worth? And you get money. And if you can collect, you get the money. So a court can't undo the past, and a court can't get this guy's stuff back, most likely. All the court can do is go, what's the cash value of what this was? And we'll make them cut a check to this guy. And now the guy's walking out of a court, figuratively speaking, holding a check. And, I've talked about other examples, people who spend time in prison and they get out and they get compensated. And I've had people say, well, I wouldn't mind sitting in prison for $1 million a year. Is that how you'd feel if you were wrongfully accused and wrongfully convicted and didn't know you were making $1 million a year for sitting there? Because most people would say, I'd gladly have the time back if I could hand them money back. But they can't. Courts can't do that. So in this case, the storage company must pay an airman $60,000 after selling his property while he was deployed. And it can all be solved going forward by simply adding that single question to the contract. There you go. No charge this morning for the free advice. From military.com, Steve. Should never take these things off. Steve Bainan wrote it. Robert Gordon sent it. Questions or comments, put them below those. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Don't wait around for other people to be happy for you. Any happiness you achieve, you've got to make yourself.